We begin this hour with the news that former Trump national security advisor and vocal Trump critic John Bolton is likely the next name to be checked off of Trump's enemies list as President Trump continues to use the Department of Justice to settle scores. MSNBC has learned that the acting U.S. attorney in Maryland is moving forward quickly to seek criminal charges against Bolton over improperly keeping classified information in his Maryland home, with charges possibly coming as early as next week. Two others have already been checked off of that list: New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was indicted on Thursday, and another vocal Trump critic, former FBI Director James Comey, who was arraigned in a Virginia courthouse earlier this week. Both come just weeks after Trump posted a message on his social media platform to his Attorney General Pam Bondi, directing her to prosecute them because, as Trump put it, they are all guilty as hell. NBC News has confirmed that Trump never meant for the public to see this post. He was apparently trying to message Pam directly and was surprised to learn he screwed it up, according to an administration official. It is just another example of the grossly inappropriate relationship Trump has with his DOJ, though in her congressional testimony this week, Attorney General Bondi would have you believe that her department is not working for the benefit of just one person.
I pledged that I would end the weaponization also of the Justice Department, and that America would once again have a one-tier system of justice for all. And that is what we are doing in this country. Weaponization under Donald Trump has ended. It has ended.
Yeah, joining us now, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, welcome back to the weekend. It's still early in the morning, so I'm trying not to howl with laughter at what we just heard from the Attorney General. But is she correct? Has the quote-unquote weaponization of the Department of Justice ended under Donald Trump, or has it only just begun?
I mean, that's all it is. Trump has taken control of the Department of Justice. She goes over to the White House frequently in order to get orders. Everybody saw that social media post where he was directing her what to do. And, you know, that's what's so interesting about all of these prosecutions against his political foes. Generally, making a claim of vindictive prosecution or selective prosecution is an extremely difficult thing to do because the government's internal processes are inscrutable. The world doesn't see them. But since he conducts everything out in the open, he's been totally clear that this is all about vindictive policies based on revenge and vengeance. And he's put it all out there, and she's just his, willing pawn in the game.
He's saying they're, quote, guilty as hell. Translation, go find some reason to go prosecute them.
Yeah, I mean, they're guilty of speaking the truth about Donald Trump or opposing him on some particular policy, and that is the cardinal offense during the Trump era, that you have somehow stood against the president. And so go find something, go find anything we can use to mobilize against these people.
One of the things that, as a kind of political matter, right, and for all of you who are trying to make sure the country understands what's happening, is that we are living in at least two different realities. And there's a set of the country who are getting a completely separate and different and wrong, muddied, watered set of facts in this case, right? Donald Trump has said for a very long time that he's just going to do the thing to them that they did to me. And when you talk to Republicans, whether they're in the House, they're your colleagues, or folks that are just walking around and have voted for Donald Trump 3 times, they just believe that to their core. So I guess how do we as a country get to a place where we look at this what's happening at the DOJ and we can all agree, like, this is not how it's supposed to work? They can say they want it to work like that, but agree that it's not supposed to work this way.
Well, for those people who are inculcated in the Fox propaganda machine, that's hopeless. But that's not most of the country. Why hopeless?
Because they're still here.
Convincing them on, Comey or something like that, that's where the propaganda sinks in. But here's what's happening. While they're focused on the vendetta campaign against Trump's opponents, they are also conducting this war against the middle class, against Medicaid, against Medicare, against Social Security, against the Affordable Care Act. They're suffering serious defections right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there. She sounds like a Democrat right now in speaking the truth about what's taking place. They control the House, the Senate, the White House. They've shut the government down in order to perpetuate their policies of denying Affordable Care Act tax credits to the American people in order to strip $800 billion from the Medicaid program. Congressman Van Drew, a conservative Republican from southern New Jersey, says that this health care policy is morally bankrupt and politically stupid for the Republicans to be engaged in. So there's big-time erosion taking place on a daily basis as their position becomes unsustainable. They're not coming to work. If any federal worker shouldn't be paid for the last 2 weeks, it's a Republican congressman and a Republican senator.
Now others as well. It doesn't need a meaningful factual basis to invoke the Insurrection Act, claim something's an insurrection or civil disorder. But that's why cities need to make sure that we are documenting that city municipal authorities are handling whatever everyday problems cities have. But it will not take a lot. He does not, and it may not take anything at all, just how he happens to wake up, on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning. But Jonathan, I will point out that Trump is predictable. They have telegraphed everything they're going to do. They actually wrote it all out in Project 2025. You know, the thing he knew nothing about during the election.
Right.
And so we're in a position to really kind of anticipate what they're going to do. And I'm proud that the courts have been holding up and AGs have been enforcing the law to the extent we have jurisdiction.
AG, language matters, and the language that politicians use really matters, and the way that they describe groups of people changes the way other Americans see them, and it helps change policy. I want you to listen to both Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the AG of the United States, Pam Bondi, at an Antifa roundtable earlier this week.
Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa.
This network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years.
For our viewers, Antifa means anti-fascist. It's also not a group in the same way that we think of organizations, right? There's no leader. It is more of an ideology. So what do you think they're signaling when they are saying they are as sophisticated or as the same as MS-13 and TDA, which they have talked about wanting to eradicate out of the United States? What does that language tell you they are trying to signal to the American people?
Well, I want to caution people to not just dismiss this as utter stupidity, because it is utter stupidity. It's fact-free, it's lies, it's ridiculous, but it is dangerous for that very reason. Because if there really is no Antifa as an institution organization, then anybody who's associated with Antifa-like ideas, can be persecuted. All you have to do is say, prove you're not Antifa. Well, how can you prove a negative? And suddenly they're just going to be able to use that to justify suppressing speech, arresting people, deploying ICE, deploying National Guard, deploying military. So the fact that there is nobody even knows what it is. The first person I ever heard use the word Antifa was Donald J. Trump, when he was going on about how there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. That's the first time I ever heard anyone use the term. So now it's this amorphous thing. And if nobody's really Antifa, then everybody could be. And the reason you can't find them is because they're just that crafty. And so this is something that we all need to be worried about. I know that there will be people, particularly in the legitimate world, who deals in facts and issues and things like that, is going to be saying, "Oh, how dumb this is." Be careful. They know it's dumb. They know it's lies. They're using it as a pretext to push forward illegitimate power that the president is usurping from just about everybody.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Really quick. Why do you think President Trump hasn't deployed National Guard to a place like Minneapolis yet?
Well, I think that he's got people higher on his list of vindictiveness, right? I mean, he wants to get Chicago. He wants to get after Portland. There's people he wants to get a little bit more than he wants to get us. But I can assure you that, last time he was president, he put up a tweet that said something to the effect of liberate Minnesota and Michigan and some other states. Yeah. So we just better be aware and I hope he never does deploy troops here. I hope he never does try to illegitimately and illegally take the power away from our governor to deploy the National Guard. But we're ready if he does. And we have every reason to believe that he just might. So that's what it's about.
A.J. Ellison, we've seen him do this over and over again. We know that he might do it. You guys say that it's possible. What does it look like to prepare for them to possibly send the National Guard to Minneapolis or whatever city in Minnesota? What does that?
This is Trump unleashed. You don't want to romanticize the first term because this is what people do. And guys, I've heard this from some people. Oh, maybe President Bush wasn't that bad. Maybe President Reagan. These guys were monsters. I want to make that very clear. Bush belongs in the Hague. He should be, to this day, rotting in the Hague for his war crimes, for what he did, especially the lies that led to the Iraq War and all the violations that happened in Afghanistan, even if you supported that conflict initially, all the human rights abuses and whatnot. He and Cheney and Rumsfeld, all these types, all of them deserved to spend time behind bars. And so you look back on it and you're like, oh, like it wasn't so bad, right? And people are already doing that a little bit with the first Trump term, but I want to make it clear, there is something to be said for, look who's around him. Look who's around Donald Trump. Because it's different this time. Before, and look, a lot of these people ended up getting fired or ended up quitting, but the quality of Trump cabinet picks went down sharply, and the quality of their ass kissery went up, right? Like the amount of ass kissery they were doing went up exponentially, and so there's nobody there to pull him off the brink. Even like Ivanka's not there, right? And I'm not trying to say she was great or anything, but there were moments where, and other sources confirm this, where she sort of pulled him off the brink a little bit, right? Or at least tried to. And there were people that pulled him away from some of his most harebrained schemes. A lot of those people were gone by January 6th or shortly after. The point is, he didn't start his term with people like Hegseth. He didn't start his term with people like this Lindsay Halligan person. He didn't start it with them. And so he is operating in full fascist mode. He hasn't become a dictator yet. There still exist some checks and some balances, but those disappear by the day. Donald is on the path to becoming the Führer. That's his goal. Will he achieve it? God willing, he never does. But that's what he wants to become. He wants to be a dictator in a post-democracy America.